Tigers, one of the most spectacular predators to stalk the jungles of Asia. Today, there are less than 8,000 of them left. These tigers live on another continent. They're not wild, not very fierce, and they never need to worry about hunting for supper. In a world where wild tigers are disappearing, these tigers may be the last hope for the big cat's survival. October 1998, a tiger reserve in Queensland, Australia. 2 cubs have just been born. The male is called Sultan. He joins his big sister, Sita. Their mother, Samara, doesn't seem to mind her human helpers. Sultan has bold black stripes. His sister Sita is mostly orange. Samara is still in labor. Everyone hopes the next cub will be a rare white tiger, like its father, Mohan. But to start at the very beginning, we need to go back a few years. June 1995, Sydney, Australia. 6 lively tiger cubs from the United States have just arrived. Among them is a distinctive white male named Mohan and a female named Samara. Their final destination is Queensland and a very different kind of theme park called Dream World. Rides and attractions called Thunderbolt and Tower of Terror are set in a forest which is also home to Australian animals, like the beloved koala bear. Here, Samara, Mohan, and the other young tigers become the first members of a part tiger, part human family. Pat Martin Vicky is head of the household. He developed Queensland's Tiger Island after working with tigers in a theme park in California. He wants visitors to enjoy these magnificent creatures and at the same time learn about the sad plight of their wild relatives.
Yeah, tigers are one of the 2 large cats that like to swim, the other being the jaguar. On a warm day, the cats will spend as much as 2 or 3 hours each in the pool, so it's quite normal to find them cooling off on a hot day in some sort of water. These guys are all Indian or Bengal tigers. Makes them native to India, Nepal, and parts of Bangladesh. All these tigers were captive born. They really haven't taken tigers out of the wild anywhere. In about the last 40 to 50 years, tigers do breed very well in captivity. Not very many of them left in the wild, unfortunately. And that's due to habitat destruction and poaching. Probably 1 or 2 tigers a day are dying in the wild to supply the illegal parts trade. Tigers are thought to have medicinal powers which really don't exist. But a lot of cultures still hold on to that belief. And as a result, tigers are still poached.
Keepers and tigers do their best to entertain the audience, but there's a serious message behind the fun. Andy Goldfarb has also worked with Samara and Mohan since they were cubs. He wants people to know that the loss of wild tigers has far-reaching consequences.
Well, the conservation of tigers is, to me, it's important because they're just an incredible animal. They're obviously play a role in the ecological balance in India and other parts of Asia. But also, this is such a star animal, and the fact that we're not even able to keep them around, it's not going to really do a whole lot for the other animals that are out there. To lose this animal would be probably just an incredible tragedy for man and for anything, because there's nothing like them.
Tiger Island is playing a part in maintaining tiger numbers. When Samara came into heat, the keepers put her with the majestic white Mohan. Like a person who has blonde hair, Mohan has white fur because both of his parents carried the same rare recessive gene. With no white tigers seen in the wild for half a century, and only a few in captivity, the keepers hoped Samara and Mohan would produce the first white Bengal tiger ever to be born on Australian soil. At first, Mohan didn't seem too interested in becoming a father. But eventually, Samara's flirting wins him over. 10 weeks later, a pregnant Samara is going for regular prenatal checkups at the vet. The staff know that a first-time tiger mother may have trouble caring for her litter. With an ultrasound, they can see that Samara will have at least 2 cubs.
Looks good, Pat. No worries.
But they won't know if any are white or how well Samara will care for them until the big day arrives. 5 weeks later, Samara goes into labor. It's been half an hour since the first 2 were born, and a 3rd cub is on the way. It's the white one they've been hoping for, a male named Taj.
You know, there's a lot of material over their face, and, you know, they can suffocate because they're going to start to breathe right when they come out. And if a tiger has had a bunch of tiger cubs, say if they had 3 cubs, she's exhausted. You can see now she's tired. And so she has more, and she doesn't feel like getting to that other cub and grooming that cub could suffocate. So we're always, you know, clear that stuff off of their face and bring them right on over to mom so she can start grooming, and we'll hold them for her and let her groom them right there.
Although the cubs nurse and bond with their mother, within moments of birth, they also know the touch, smell, and sound of the humans who will be their lifelong companions. No one is prepared for what happens next. An unexpected 4th cub pops out, another male named Rama. Even with a 4th new mouth to feed, Samara seems to be taking motherhood in stride. While less than half of tiger cubs survive in the wild, these cubs are off to an excellent start.
Actually, things are going really good right now. Samara is being just a great mom, just taking care of the cubs, and that's the first thing that Pat and I always will check to make sure that she's grooming them, that they're breathing and they're wanting to get to, you know, get something to eat, which we will obviously assist them. You know, we just like to make sure everybody's getting something as soon as possible. Makes it easier on everyone, including us, and we don't stress out watching cubs not being able to eat for a while.
Instinct just seemed to be taken over because she's a first-time mother, and we were just sitting there in just absolute awe, just watching it all and not really having to do anything but just watch.
Samara's very relaxed with the handlers being so close to her litter, but that's because she's known Pat and Andy since she was a cub herself. Samara knows they're no threat to her babies, who will come to be known as the Awesome Possum. Tiger cubs are usually born with their eyes closed, but all 4 of Samara's cubs have their eyes slightly open. Clustered together, only their different coats seem to set them apart. But soon enough, they'll develop friendships and rivalries and distinct characters as varied as the colors of their fur. As Pat holds the last-born, Rama, and the only female, Sita, Taj the White is already declaring his independence. Soon, Pat and the other keepers will play a much greater role in the cub's development. Day 7, and the young tigers already have a well-established routine. Sultan protests as best he can, but he and his siblings will be weighed every day as an important part of monitoring their health. A full-grown Bengal tiger can weigh 500 pounds, but for now, the cubs are in good health at just over 5 pounds. Sita is next, and she doesn't seem to mind the scale. Like all the cubs, she was about 2 pounds at birth and has been putting on about half a pound a day. Without their mother, their instinct is to huddle tightly together. Wild cubs spend their first 2 months in a den. Their mother would only leave them unattended if she needed to go hunt. The heaviest of the cubs is Taj, weighing in at a hefty 6 pounds. There's construction noise close by, and Samara is on the alert. Fearing for her cubs, she instinctively gets to work moving them to a safer place. Sultan is the first to be held in her huge and powerful jaws. Amazingly, he doesn't let out a single cry. In the wild, Samara might change dens several times in order to keep her family hidden from other predators. But the noise stops, and once she's been reassured by her keepers, Samara comes back. Little Sultan endured the entire episode hanging from his mother's jaws, as limp as a rag doll. Now Samara gets busy washing her multicolored clan. Tiger stripes are like human fingerprints. No 2 tigers have the same pattern. Taj the white and Sita the marmalade settle in between the lighter stripes of Rama and the darker stripes of Sultan. While construction work may not be a threat to the awesome possum, feline diseases are.
He's still got the bluish colour over his corneas, but they look fine.
Each week, the cubs get a visit from the vet.
He looks good too.
Until they're old enough to be vaccinated, the cub's health is at its greatest risk. They're checked over carefully as everyone works to ensure the cubs are ready for the next big step.
So they're all putting
At
on
2
about
weeks,
100, or?
their lives change dramatically. From now on, formula will replace mother's milk, and the keepers will take over from their mother, Samara.
People often ask, why do we take them from the mothers about 2 to 3 weeks of age? The reason being is because we have to develop a bond with them. If we do not get that relationship with the cub, we cannot work with them when they're big. So Sultan, who just was with me, is going to be 182 kilos easy when he's a full-grown adult male. And you have to have an established relationship with him.
The cubs sleep over every night at Andy's house. Andy's done this many times before, but his colleagues are learning to be mothers for the first time. New handlers like Bruce Murdoch quickly discover that bottle feeding can be harder than it looks.
They're a little bit aggressive to start off with. They're hissing at you until they get to trust you. When you start to bottle feed them, they don't know what they're doing. It's not like putting them on a teat with a mother where it's a natural instinct. You're putting this rubber thing in their mouth that they have to learn how to grab onto that and how to suck onto it, and you have to assist them in doing that.
Definitely building the relationship with the cubs, or the bond. It will be, the bottle will be a big part of that. You are the source of their ability to survive. You are also the source of comfort, and sitting on you, they feel you breathe, and oftentimes after a nice feed, they'll sleep right on you, and that's, you just sit with them, and actually you don't have to really force any of the handlers to do that. They're more than happy to stay with the cubs for as long as possible, and so that they're always hearing our voices, they smell our smell, and they feel our touch, and that's where the relationship really starts.
Back at the park a few days later, the cubs go on display in their glass-enclosed nursery for the first time. Now the public finally gets to meet the awesome possum. This is a critical bonding time for cubs and handlers. It's particularly rewarding for the new handlers.
The emotional bond now is great because it's not hard at all. I mean, you can't help yourself but fall in love with them because they're so cute and cuddly. So you do enjoy the time with them. You especially love coming in here and the feeding and things like that. I guess it's made me a little bit less macho, if that makes sense. Because you're looking at such little animals, and you do sort of feel a lot more for them at that point in time. When you get to work and you're actually involved with them, yeah, it definitely makes you a bit more sentimental.
The reason why they like to suck on our fingers is they do derive comfort from it. When they nurse on their mom, they don't get milk the whole time. They're nursing, and so, but I guess it's like giving a child a pacifier, and that's what I'm doing in this case. He's had a big breakfast, and he definitely doesn't look like he's suffering at all here. So I'm going to offer him my finger rather than give him more milk. Because then he could get sick if he just got to eat as much as he could possibly hold.
At 4 weeks, the cubs are old enough to take medicine. Taj is first in line and reluctantly tries his first dose. Sita doesn't cry like her brothers, but there's no mistaking her opinion. When the cubs were nursing, their mother's milk provided them with antibodies and natural microbes. Now they need a supplement to help their digestion. But they aren't about to pretend they enjoy it. First baths are also a little unnerving, and the normally tranquil Sita suddenly needs some reassurance. Luckily, Andy knows from experience how to soothe her.
When Sita is in the tub like that, when we give her the bath, that was their first bath, and they are like, what in the world is this? They're getting put in water and everything like that. And so she became uncomfortable and she started screaming. So I did what I call the dangle. And that's where I kind of, pick her up and I rock her a little bit and I wrap my hands around under her armpits and things like that, because that's where the mother would go to pick her up with her mouth. Or if Sita was just lagging behind and not keeping up, Mom would go pick her up. And immediately that'll calm the cub. She's not going to struggle while she's in the mouth of her mother. It's not a good idea. It's the big teeth. So just to calm her a little bit and put her into a more tranquil mood, I do that. And then after that, she, just calms right down.
At this stage, the cubs spend their nights either at Andy's or Pat's. In the morning, they'll head back to the nursery. Morning, and it's feeding time again. Intense bonding between humans and tigers, 24 hours a day, will pay off when the cubs grow up. They're being groomed to play their part in the special environment of the park, just like their father, Mohan. On an early morning walk, Mohan becomes intrigued by these little creatures. Wild tiger fathers play no role in raising their young, and Mohan probably doesn't recognize the cubs as his own. But very soon he'll have a chance to give them a closer look. Regular walks through the crowded park are an important part of living in a mainly human world. For the tigers, the experience is stimulating exercise. For the visitors, it's an amazing opportunity to be terrifyingly close to one of the world's fiercest predators.
The tigers that are born in captivity, we want them to have the most interesting life possible. Walking through the park is just a great way for the tigers to go and see different things. It's also a great way to get people, to care about them, because they're going to have an experience that they're not going to be able to get many times in their life. To be able to touch a tiger when they're walking through the park, that means something to a lot of people.
Now 6 weeks old and vaccinated against disease, the cubs begin basic training for their future walks in the park. Taj is eager to explore, but he isn't too enthusiastic about this new constraint around his neck. Once the cubs become comfortable, curiosity leads the way.
How we get a bond or relationship with these cubs is something that starts actually the day they're born on Tiger Island, because we're going to be with the mother when she has the cubs. They're going to hear our voices and feel us touching them before they can even see, before they can even know what's going on. And that's the start of it. But the most important phase of developing the relationship with these guys is when we start to care for them, feeding them regularly. Taking them out for walks like this is very helpful, because it's a big new world out there, and they look to us as confidence. You know, they feel support from us when they come up to something that scares them, and they'll come back to you, and that's a really big factor in knowing that they look to you as a parent figure, if you will. They know when they're at home, if they want something to eat, they'll cry and they'll follow you around or whatever, just like they would their mom if they're trying to get their mom to lay down so they could nurse or something like that. And they must know that if they cry enough, that I'm going to go heat up a bottle and I'm going to go get them something to eat. As they become older, when they become bigger, I think we're also like a parent in authority, as far as they have to have some rules that they have to follow for us to get along for the rest of their lives. You know, they cannot bite us and scratch us just for fun, like someone's doing right now. Give me my finger back and give me my leash back. That's going to happen, and that would happen easy. That would happen with their mom. Now, see, if he was playing around with his mom, getting carried away like that, I'd just flick him in the nose and tell him to knock it off. Whereas mom would get pretty darn right mad at him and probably club him pretty good.
It's time for a big reunion. The cubs will meet a few members of their adult tiger family.
Holy moly, what the heck was that, Rube?
Uncle Rakan is first.
Hey, Rack. What are you doing?
Neither he nor the cubs know quite what to make of each other, although Taj is eager to get a closer look. Wild tigers normally lead solitary lives, and even within the special environment of the park, the adult tigers are still suspicious of the tiny cubs. Sita seems to recognize her mother, Samara, but the keepers don't know how Samara will react.
Samara and other females in particular sometimes don't do as well with cubs that aren't their own. In Samara's case, she's already come into season. She's already wanted to breed again, so her mind's been on elsewhere. So she may not even really think of these cubs as being hers exactly. She may think of them of just being other cubs that she's a little bit unsure of.
Since Samara is so wary, the staff decide to keep her away from the cubs for a while. Now it's Mohan's turn to greet the cubs. A moment of tension, but it goes much better.
I don't think that a male tiger in particular in the wild would have any recognition of his own cubs, because he has literally nothing to do with their raising. He breeds and then goes on his own way. So I don't think Mohan has a concept of that fatherly thing, but he is interested enough to want to see him.
The cubs will become closer to their tiger family over time. For now, the crucial bond is with their human parents.
Some of the things that we do to establish the bond with the cats is just spending time with them. We're always with them. I mean, now they're going to definitely need a nap here in a little bit, and that's fine. But even a lot of times, if we have the time, we have other cats that we have to take care of, we'll just stay with them while they're sleeping. That's what we do with our big cats. The bond needs to always be reinforced. It can't just be formed right now and then forgotten about. So that's why some visitors come to Tiger Island and see us sleeping with the cats. We're not sleeping, that's not definitely a good idea, but the tigers definitely like to sleep. And they know we're there, they hear our voice, they feel our touch, they sleep on us. They put their heads on our lap and go to sleep. And that's all part of the relationship right there. That's all part of maintaining that bond. And then this walking, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, this is very helpful. He's nervous right now because he sees a reflection of stuffed tigers. He sees the stuffed tigers in the window of the gift shop. So that makes him a little nervous. So I come in and now he sees someone else walking by and she's kind of scaring him because she's hiding behind the wall. See him hissing a little bit? You're okay. What's going on? And then you talk to him and you make it okay. And then he feels like he can go ahead and go check out that window because now he has the confidence. He's not worried about something happening to him, And it is, in a way, in the wild, you know, their mom's not going to talk to him that way. But her way of showing confidence is by basically just doing what she always does. So for a human to start this relationship with a cub, we do it the way that we would do it. A big part of their lives, especially in the beginning, is exploring. I mean, any cub in the wild is going to go out and look at things and become comfortable in their environment. So we want our cats to become comfortable in the environment that we've created for them here. Now, their environment is going to include all kinds of things, from the shops to the rides to their own tiger facility. All that stuff we want them to be relaxed with so that we don't have cats that are uncomfortable in really any situation. Obviously there are limitations. They're not going to go on the rides or anything like that over here, but they definitely enjoy going out and looking at things and seeing what's out there. And it's great because the people love it too. How often are you going to walk into a gift shop and run into a tiger cub? Who's that? Look at that. Is that you? Is that you? Is that you? Oh, I'll be right there. I'll be right there. Yeah, if you want to pet him, you can come pet him. Let's come pet him right here.
Is it a girl or a boy?
Yeah, this is a boy. This is Sultan. Yeah. He's our biggest boy. He's 8 weeks old today.
Oh, I've got a puppy. He's 8 weeks today.
Does he weigh 11 kilos?
No, not quite. It's a black lab, so it's probably...
He's eating well to be doing that
Yeah.
in 8 weeks.
Oh yeah, tigers, they grow really fast. Don't you get into trouble here. Pretty soon his head will be taller than the countertop.
Yeah.
The cubs aren't always on the go. They spend plenty of time sleeping, too. As adults, they'll sleep for 18 hours a day. The cubs catnap for just 16 hours.
Well, right now what we're going to do is I'm going to take these guys in the back, and what we have here, a program at Dream World, is we call it a cub experience. Due to the overwhelming demand for people to see the cubs, we give the opportunity for 10 people at a time to come in and spend about 15 minutes with us, obviously for a fee, which 10% of that fee goes towards tiger conservation, towards Sumatran tiger protection. So we're very proud of that. We'll let you come up to them maybe once we get settled, but a lot of times everybody definitely has a tendency to want to go right up to them because they are very cute. But it is often better just to let them hang out and just come to you sometimes. And when we get somebody who's sleeping and being relaxed and you go up and give them a pet, just please don't touch them on the face, because that's where the teeth are. And they're very cute, but they like to use them. They use them on us all the time. Giving them an experience like being with the tiger cubs is not like anything else that they can ever do. You don't get it from watching a television show or from reading a book. You know, any kind of contact that anybody has with these animals, it can make a difference.
Is that because he's teething or what?
They certainly chew a lot more because they're teething now, yeah, definitely. But it's because he's very playful and he's not allowed to chew his leash, and you're not allowed to touch your head because of part of his training. He's not allowed to do that. And he's just learning now. So.
Matt, look up.
At 10 weeks, the cubs pass another milestone. They officially become carnivores. After a few weeks of trying tidbits, today, low-fat minced meat replaces milk as the major part of their diet. When they're adults, tigers can eat 40 pounds of meat in one meal. The cubs are more alert and getting stronger by the day, so they enjoy blowing off steam by play fighting. With their growing strength, the cubs are becoming more of a handful, especially the always stubborn Sultan. Without training, the cats could be very dangerous, and Andy's knee brace is evidence of the hazards of living with tigers.
I was out there on Tiger Island, and Jai and Mohan were getting into a little bit of a squabble, and Jai was kind of laying next to me, and when she jumped and turned, her butt hit me right in the knee, right on the side of my leg, and it popped my knee out the other side like that. So, that hurt a lot. And it had, she might as well have hit a twig. I know. So it was no big deal to her. She didn't even know she did it, but definitely ruined my day and my month.
Andy's safe with the cubs for the moment. It's Sita who takes the most blows from her boisterous brothers. In the wild, the young tigers would now be learning to hunt.
Face that you see them making, we call it a stinky face because it definitely looks like it doesn't smell that good. But what's really happening is what's called a flaming response. In the wild, tigers leave calling cards. Other tigers come around, pick up the scent, and they identify it actually by breathing it in through their mouth, not through their nose. Because underneath the roof of their mouth is an organ, and that is what tells them if that's a boy or if it's a girl. And most importantly for the boys, if it is a girl, when she's coming into heat.
Just 2 months ago, the cubs got a cool reception from their parents. Today, the adults are totally relaxed with the awesome possum. Now, everyone in this part tiger, part human family plays happily together.
A lot of the enrichment that we give the tiger cubs is through playing with small things like branches or sticks and running around with them. It keeps them entertained. And the good thing about the younger cats is that you can use similar or simple branches like that to get them chasing them. I don't think you can do the job effectively if you've got a detachment from them, because they pick that up as well. You have to have that emotional bond, and although you do have to have some disconnection from them, just because you know they are still wild animals.
By now, the cubs are old enough to spend the night by themselves. This evening is the last time they'll go home with Pat or Andy. Sultan is first and gets in his usual protest. Next is the reigning heavyweight, Taj. They are now so big, there's hardly any space for Sita in the traveling cage. The family dog will probably be happy to get his bowl back, but he might miss all the fun he had with his lively playmates. Sita is content to sit back for a while Rama gets right into the action. He may be the smallest of the brothers, but he has no problem putting Sultan in his place. Otis, the dog, seems to be able to hold his own.
I think it's really great to have them around Otis the dog, and other dogs actually. It's a different animal for them. It's a great form of enrichment, a lot of fun, and a great way to exercise them too. As a dog, as you can see, definitely can outmaneuver them. Every now and then you'll see him chasing them around. He runs and he'll put them in their place, but he's a real hairy dog, and you'll see some cubs come up with black hair hanging from their mouths and everything like that. I mean, they're getting the better of Otis at that point in time, but he's never been hurt or anything like that by the tigers, so I don't worry about him.
One day soon, the young tigers will begin to learn the skill. For the keepers to maintain control, it's crucial that the tigers learn to move on command from one spot to another. But if they'd rather just laze around, there's time for that too. The cubs are 7 months old, and Sultan is still testing every boundary.
Oh, Rama's taking a poo?
These two are the most adventurous of the cubs, and today they're going to try something adult tigers love. Their first dip in the deep end. They're naturally good swimmers, and like their parents, will probably spend several hours a day in the water. Wild tigers will occasionally go fishing, or even drag land mammals into the water to eat them. Mostly, they like to cool off in shallow pools. This is the most energetic stage of the cub's life. They're sleeping a mere 14 hours a day and like to spend most of their time exploring. Sultan likes to stalk and investigate would-be prey. His brother Taj, on the other hand, is a little more relaxed in exploring his surroundings.
You're going to have a curiosity about looking at other things, but if it's across a lake, the tiger knows that. It has no chance of pulling it off. And then as a trainer, you'll read the cat. So if he's looking and he's just maybe kind of halfway thinking about stuff, you don't worry about a whole lot. If he starts getting down in the hunkered down position, his ears are going flat down, and he's thinking that he's going to make a go for it, that's when you'll, hey, take it easy, or the command that we use is leave it. And that means that you're not allowed to look at that thing to hunt it. But if you were to try to have them go through their entire existence throughout the park without really being able to look at anything, you might as well blindfold them and make them walk around that way. So they have a natural curiosity, especially the youngsters. You can never really take that away from them. So you just learn to control it a bit.
Down. Good girl.
By 9 months, the weekly weigh-in shows that all the cubs are about half their expected adult weight, which they'll reach when they're 2 years old. Sita's a healthy 106 pounds. Taj is the biggest, and with a little milk as a treat, he's happy to stay on the scale all day. Rama climbs on the scale without a fuss and is still the lightest of the brothers.
2.5. Good boy. 2.5.
Last to be weighed is Sultan, and as usual, he's not going to make it easy.
Good boy. Good boy. Sultan here. Sultan. Hey, Sultan.
This month, he's just a little bit lighter than Taj, though last month, he was the leader. Like all the cubs, Sultan loves to spend time with his dad, Mohan.
That looked like it hurt.
But every so often, his insistent ways are too much for his father.
It just amazed me and astonished me to see that, and to see Sultan's head inside Mohan's mouth just blew me away. But it's just the way that they learn. That sort of thing reminds you in your own head that these are not pussycats. They're not tame. They still ultimately react in exactly the same way that a wild tiger would. But I felt amazed that Sultan recognised me and came up to me in the way that he did. Was just exhilarating. Made me feel pretty special, and it reinforced in my mind that I have a good relationship with this cat.
All right, let's take the...
It's the special relationship between the awesome possum and their keepers that will make them future stars and help them adapt to an unusual human world. Park visitors of all ages can be delighted, amazed, and perhaps a little frightened by the cats, while the young tigers can enjoy a tantalizing array of temptations.
Leave it. Leave it. Leave it.
The cubs have survived and thrived in their first year. Now, it's time to celebrate their first birthday.
Listen to this, Robbie. May you grow in beauty and grace, power and strength, to be as regal, noble, and majestic as your parents. The survival, hope, and future of your species lives within you.
Like any proper birthday, the now famous foursome have a party, complete with iced milk cakes made especially for tigers. The keepers try to lead each cub to the cake with their name.
He's got Ramos.
But Sultan decides he wants Rama's. And he's not too happy that so many party guests seem to have an eye on it too. It's now hard to recognize the cubs as the kittens of 11 months ago. Now that they're adolescents, their different temperaments are pronounced.
Rama is a very easygoing cat. He's the most confident of the four cubs in different situations. He can be nervous about some things, but in general, he's much more confident. Now, Sultan is probably the whiniest, complainiest of the cubs. He definitely wants his way. He wants to do what he wants to do when he wants to do it. But he lets you know quite easily. Taj is a pretty sneaky cat. He likes to jump on you when you're not looking. On the other hand, he's also a pretty easygoing cat. So he'll just sit there and kind of stare off into space, and he's not quite as probably energetic as I would say Sultan is. Sita is a sweetheart of a cat. She's not quite as active as, say, some of her brothers are, but she's smart. I'd say she's a lot smarter than they are. She kind of has to be. But she's actually a great cat.
The bonds between keepers and one of the world's fiercest predators are very solid.
Guys are a pain.
If they weren't, safety for keepers and the park visitors could not be guaranteed.
Well, probably the point to having tigers in this kind of situation is it's great for the cats. It gives them a great lifestyle where they get to experience a lot of different things, a lot of interaction, a lot of stimulation that other cats in captivity don't have. And also it gives the people coming through the gate in the park, and actually the media as well, a chance to see tigers in a different way and probably understand a bit more about them and hopefully help protect them in the wild.
Their unique upbringing has made the giant cats incredibly gentle. From birth, they are living proof that care and nurturing can change the nature of an awesome beast. Hope that the hundreds of thousands of visitors who witness these amazing relationships will take away a better understanding of tigers.
Ultimately, the proper place for tigers to be is in the wild. But those tigers that are in the wild, hopefully they're going to make it. But things don't look so good for them. So the ones that are in captivity make their life great and teach people as you do it.
Everyone here hopes that this man-made tiger family can play a part in the fight to save tigers in the wild.